So Cameron, what made you reach the decision finally to say that's it?
Well, I've spent a few months now up in Queensland with the family and had a really good opportunity to think over my thoughts on playing on or to not play on. And for me, I look back on my career and just found that I was very fortunate to be a part of such a wonderful organisation filled with many great footballers, but great people as well. And it felt like the right time to finish off the back of what was a very successful season last year, albeit a very different season, being away from home, and everyone knows we didn't get an opportunity to play down here in Melbourne in front of home fans. Just couldn't ask for more than finishing with a premiership for a club that I've played my entire career with.
How close were you to deciding to go around again this year?
Yeah, well, I was wrestling with the idea for quite some time, and that's why it's taken so long. And I spoke to a handful of people that are quite close to me throughout last year while the season was still on, and then in the weeks after the season had finished, guys like Billy and that I've grown quite close to away from football as well. I consider Billy one of my best mates, not just a former teammate. I was just trying to talk with them about their thoughts on not only my situation, but tried to pick their brain about how they come to the conclusion of when they felt it was the right time to finish their playing career. Gotta love Brandon Smith. But yeah, it certainly I had to wrestle with that decision, because that's probably the thing that made it more difficult, was that after the end of last year, winning the premiership, I still felt good within myself, physically and mentally. I still felt like my form was good enough to play in the NRL, but at the end of the day, once I spent good quality time with my family up in Queensland, I knew that it was the right time to finish. And now that it just gives me the opportunity now to enjoy what's going to be the next phase, next chapter of my life. Hopefully that it'll involve rugby league in some capacity, but the most important thing for me is that I get to enjoy quality time with my wife and my 3 children.
When did you actually decide when did you make the decision, and what are your plans?
Well, I probably, in my head, I probably made the decision maybe a week ago, but knowing that the unveiling of the statues was on today and I was going to be in Melbourne, I thought this was the perfect opportunity to announce my decision, given that this is where I and Billy started our career. It was right here at Olympic Park, 2002, and this is where I wanted to officially end it as well. And I had the opportunity to stand next to my good friend Billy when I announced it to everyone as well. Oh yeah, that's certainly come into consideration. There's no doubt, and that was probably one of the main considerations, really, given what the amount of time I'd spent here and what I'd tried to build with guys like Billy and Cooper and Ryan Hoffman, and Jesse Bromwich and Ryan Hinchcliffe. All these guys have put a lot of effort into growing the sport of rugby league, but growing the organisation of Melbourne Storm to what it is today. That was a major factor of remaining a one-club player. And I still remember back to being only a rookie, in my first couple of years, I always had this thought that I wanted to be a one-club player, not knowing that that's the way I was going to pan out. Sometimes those choices are taken away from you. Thankfully, in my situation, it wasn't, and I was able to play at this club for 18 or 19 seasons, and enjoy a lot of success on the field. But I think more importantly, gained a lot of great memories and a lot of great friends out of the time that I spent in Melbourne.
Billy, what do you make of his decision as to whether it's the right one?
Only Cam knows if it's the right one. Look, all I know is he's taken the time to make the correct decision. 50, that. No, everyone's had their opinion over the length of time that Cam's taken, but you've got to get it right. Like, when you're 37 years old and you've done what he's done for the last 2 decades, you want to make sure. You can't retire for 8 months and then all of a sudden come back and decide to play again at 38. It's really hard, and I've been through that over the last couple of years. So, my advice to Cam was take as much time as you need and make sure it's the right decision. And I think it's a celebration now. Look, I still remember when we were 18 years old up in Brisbane, and Cameron got the call to come down and debut for Melbourne. It was a long time ago now, and he's done a whole heap for the game. But I don't know of a more influential player that's played the game. I find it really hard to compare positions and errors, but I don't know of a more influential player than Cameron Smith in the game of rugby league. So he's certainly contributed a whole heap to my career and what I'd been able to do on the football field, and I feel really privileged standing here next to him and while he's announcing it. So it's probably fitting that he's got a statue up there on the day that he announces his retirement from rugby league.
Cam, will you stay for tomorrow night?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't stay down. It's my daughter's 13th birthday, actually, so it would have been lovely, and we would have really enjoyed being down here for the season opener. But I've spoken with Matt Tripp, and I've spoken with the coach about wanting to come down sometime soon. When that moment comes, that'll be great. The family are really looking forward to having an opportunity to get back to Melbourne. We haven't been down here for 6 months. I actually had to race out to straight from the airport this morning out to my house and grab this suit because I've still got all my belongings at home.
Does it still fit?
Yeah, it still fits just. I've been wearing, I've been rotating between three pairs of shorts and 3 shirts up on the Gold Coast, and they look a bit raggedy at the moment. But so we have to make some time to come down and sort out some things with our house and everything. Catch up with friends, obviously, and make sure we come in here and spend the right amount of time that we need to spend at the club and say our farewells to people there.
Can we still have a run around at some level?
I haven't thought about that. Do you mean like playing at like some sort of lower grade somewhere? I think I might just try and put my feet up for 12 months maybe. Been pretty flat out for the last nearly 2 decades. But the one thing I've sort of come to a realisation over the last few months, living up in Queensland, and not because it's Queensland, but I've actually really enjoyed having my own time, to do my own thing, and that's not taking anything away from the career that I've had and the demands that the NRL have on the players and the coaches and all the staff. But it's actually been quite refreshing for me as a person, just to be able to pick and choose what I'd like to do on certain days rather than be dictated to by a training schedule or a season draw. So I've just tried to spend as much time as I can with my 3 kids and my wife, and we go paddleboarding, get to take the kids to school and pick them up from school and attend certain things that they're doing in their life that I wasn't able to do when I was playing rugby league. That plus I can play a lot more golf now, which I'm quite happy about. And so over that period, that's probably what helped me make the decision, is that I was actually enjoying that time of just having to myself and my family and not having to give up the things that I've given up for a long time.
So we can't see any commentary or coaching anytime soon then?
Oh, look, Mel, I'd love to stay involved in some capacity, and I've been talking with Matt Tripp and Bellyache through the back end of last season. after the season finished, before Christmas, and even in the new year about staying involved in the club in some capacity. I'm not too sure what that is at the moment. For me, I just think the next steps are that I just let the dust settle for a little bit. Don't know, I might wind up being like Billy and call a game somewhere.
I was wondering where that was going.
Working in the game, but it's something that I enjoy, and it's something that I've done my entire life. Not just the past 20 years as an NRL player. Like, I've played rugby league since I was 6, so it's something that I enjoy being around. It's given me a whole heap, and it's my opportunity now to give back in some way. What that will be at the moment, I'm not too sure, but we'll work that out.
Good question for both. What does it mean to you to have that statue there forever? When you came down here as a bunch of Queensland kids, did you imagine you'd ever have that one day?
No, we weren't exactly thinking that way. Look, I came down on a trial just for a pre-season, and there was a couple of spots in the full-time squad up for grabs, and through work ethic and competitiveness, I got them, and I got to fulfil the childhood dream in playing in the NRL. And look, one thing I'm really proud of is my contribution, our contribution to not just rugby league in Victoria, but sport in general in Victoria. I know how much it means to Victorians, and what sport means to the people down here, and I'm really proud to fly the rugby league flag and the sporting flag in general in this state. Like, there's not a whole heap of statues around this great sporting precinct, and for Cam and I to be up there and to be next to Cam as well, like we're great mates first and foremost, but everything I did on the football field, this bloke was next to me, and I spoke about how influential he was in our team and all teams that we were in, but like no other, he helped me play good. Two other guys that were so influential are Craig Bellamy and Cooper Cronk also. So a huge thanks to those guys throughout my career, but it's very special. It's special for myself to see a statue of me. It's special for rugby league, and it's special to my family. Like, in 100 years' time, my kids are going to have their grandkids come up and see their, my great-great-grandfather or something like that up there at AAMI Park. So I'm very proud of that.
It looks like there's room for Craig Bellamy up there. Would you like to see a statue of him?
You can answer that.
Why not? Try.
Sorry, I'm just going to excuse Bill. There's, the coach is here.
Yep.
So we might bring the coach in with
Thanks,
Cameron.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate it coming out. Thank you.
Where'd he go?
He's just there, man.
Can I just ask
Oh, these are...
about the contribution of Pacific Islander athletes to Storm in particular? How
So I'll bring you in, Craig.
Yeah. I think it's 50-50 mix now, and just your comments.
Yeah, well, look, over my career, the numbers of the Pacific Island boys have increased dramatically, and I think that just showcased the type of athlete that the Pacific Islands can produce, and they've done a wonderful job for our club. There's no doubt about that, and we've been blessed to have some of the greatest league players to There's the other imbecile. Don't show that, please. To play, to represent our club, and they've done it, in a way that has represented their nations proudly as well. So, I can't see why those numbers wouldn't continue to increase and have so much influence on our game in the future.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And can I just ask you, please, Craig, while we've got you on the subject?
Okay.
Would you mind just expressing your thoughts on the contribution of Pacific Islander athletes and what how they've contributed to the success of the club?
Oh, they certainly have. I just basically back up what Cameron said there. We've had a lot of wonderful Pacific Island players with us. They've added a lot to our club. We've really tried to embrace their culture as well, and there's been a couple of different ones there. At pre-season camps, we always try and learn a little bit more about that side of it. But what they've done on the field, they've certainly added, certainly to our club, but they've added to the game of rugby league as well. And with all due respect, like here in Melbourne, there's a lot of, I think the 3 guys that have played for the Storm that were locals are all Polynesian boys, and again, with all due respect, they're built to basically play the rugby cage, not so much Aussie rules or soccer, So I think there's going to be a lot more influence from the Pacific Island boys, as the future goes on.
Craig, I know it's hard when he's standing next to you, but I don't know where you even start. But where does he rank among players of all time, do you think, in the game? That you've seen?
I don't think that's that hard. I think he's obviously the greatest player that, well, certainly I've ever seen. And from what he's done, his record, well over 400 games. No one's gone over 400 games. I think he's played nearly 100 rep games for Australia and Queensland at that time, and with the success he's had, as a captain as well. It's quite remarkable. That hasn't been done in the game before, and I really can't see it happening again. So, like I say, it is hard to, I suppose, describe his effect on our club and his effect on the game. But probably the biggest thing for me is how long he's done it for. We've had other players, great players have contributed heavily to the quality of our game, but to do it for near on 20 years, like that's unparalleled. And like I say, I'd have no hesitation, in my opinion, that he's the best player the game's ever seen.
Craig, is there part of you that's happy that Cam finished his career on one kind of player, that there won't be a last year with the Titans or the Bronx? As I said when he told me this morning, I was always genuine in that, I said last year, he deserves the right to make a decision, or the decision, when he was ready, or when him and his family were ready. For me, the most important thing was that Cameron and his family be happy with that decision. And I still stand by that. I think it would have been strange for me to watch him in another jumper, but that's obviously not going to happen. But at the same time, I still would have been, he's probably his #1 supporter, even though he might have been playing against us. But as I said, and I was genuine in that whatever his decision was, whatever he was happy with to make him and his family happy, that was the right decision for us and everybody.
Craig, what kind of role could Cam help you out with this year? Can he help you with some skills coaching or some advice from afar, or what do you see him doing?
We're actually going to swap addresses for a couple of months. He's going to come down and coach, and I'm going to go and play golf for 2 months. But no, hopefully we can keep Cameron involved in the club, and obviously he's going to be, if we can get him, give him a little bit of advice to our ruck players and certainly our young dummy halves. His leadership is unparalleled as well. So, just helping the guys with those leadership traits around the club. So there's a whole heap of things that we love him to do with us. But again, he needs to decide what his next step and what he wants to do with his life. Whether it is in footy or whether it ain't. I'm imagining he's going to have some sort of involvement in footy, and if that's what he chooses to do and he chooses to do with us, he'll be a great help with our younger players, especially.